Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be shooting my 1862 Colt Police revolver. Okay, this is the black powder gun. This one is made by Uberti, and the reason why I love this gun is because it only weighs 1 pound 9 ounces. So that's a very light 36 caliber. This 31 caliber here weighs 15 ounces, which basically just almost a pound. It's a 1 ounce short of a pound. But I've done tests with this gun. I see that it can barely penetrate the steel barrels. Like out of 5 shots, maybe 1 will penetrate. So I really question the lethality of the 31 caliber in black powder. But the 36 caliber is a whole different animal. I mean, this has lethality. I'm easily able to penetrate the steel barrels. In fact, it goes through both sides. It'll go in the front, out the back. So there's definitely a big step up in power. It takes 21 grains of black powder. I'm using the GoX. The reason why I'm using this is because I think that it might be the closest to the black powder that they were using at the time. I mean, I've got 777, I've got Pyrodex, but I'm trying to keep it at that same trying to keep it at the same level of black powder as they would have been using back then. So conceptually, I love this gun because it's so light. Basically 1 pound 9 ounces compared to the 1858 Remingtons. This thing weighs 2 pounds 14 ounces, almost 3 pounds. I mean, this is a lot of steel to be carrying around with you. If you're not in a in a combat type of situation, like in the Civil War, or if you're really not expecting to have a problem. This is a nice light carry gun, where if you're just like a businessman going about your business, this is the type of gun that you can carry. It's lightweight. It won't get in your way. So let's put a couple of shots on that aluminum sign over here. That's that aluminum piece of steel over there. This gun does tend to shoot very high. So I'm basically aiming about 8 inches below the spot that I want to hit. Now, one of the things you got to be really careful with this gun, when you cock back, right, after you shoot it, you have to make sure you hold the gun up, because otherwise the caps are not going to fall out and the gun becomes a jam-o-matic. Okay? So let's put a couple of holes in the steel. There's a nice, beautiful hole right there. It went through here, and it left a nice mark on the barrel behind it. So that's definitely got some punching power. Now I can tell by the way this hammer is sitting right there, that I've got a cap sitting right behind the hammer. Let's see if it falls out. Okay, so right now the hammer is not coming back, so I'm gonna basically manually rotated. I saw the cap fall out. Okay, but it is interesting. It did not fully rotate. It's actually, if I drop it right now, it's going to drop on the nipple that I just shot. So let's pull it back again. Okay, so now I am on a live chamber. Let's go that way. Nice hole right here. Again, left a mark on the barrel behind it. And again, I can see from the position of the hammer that it did not, there's a cap that's in there right now, waiting to jam the gun up. Okay, it just fell out. Make another hole somewhere. Try top left corner. Oh yeah. The nice thing is it's knocking the paint out too. So I can see where the holes are. Left a nice mark on the barrel right there. Not penetrating it through the steel, but it's definitely going through it. Let's do this. Let's put since we know it's going through this, I'm going to put this on the back side. And let's see if we can get that piece of steel to move. I don't think it'll penetrate, but let's see if we can get it to move. So again, I can see that cap is sitting right in that hammer, waiting to jam the gun. Because if I cock this back like this right now and just shoot it, it's not going to ignite. In fact, let me prove it to you. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of cocking the gun up, I'm gonna keep it like this. I'm gonna pull it back, and there you go. You see that cap right there? Right? See that where that cap is sitting? That's waiting to jam your gun up. Oh, it did. It actually made it. It knocked the steel off. But here's the thing. I'm gonna bet. Here you go. They both came out. Sometimes what will happen is that you'll have both caps just sitting in there, and especially if it'll be covered by black powder. And what will happen is you're dropping your hammer, and it's not making it to the cap because you have that spent cap acting in between. So far, no jams. I was shooting this earlier, and I had forgotten about keeping this thing straight up and making sure the caps fell out. I was getting multiple jams earlier in the day. So as you guys can see, it's going through both sides of that steel barrel, and it's got enough power to knock that other piece of metal out of the way. Change the angle a little bit. Got one more left here. Let's shoot on that side over there. I know I definitely can't move back here, but that time I didn't quite knock it off. That's it. I shot it at a weird angle from here, and actually left that mark. And this is interesting. I've actually been able to recover the lead ball, which has flattened out. See, whoops, lost that one. You see how the lead ball has flattened out and deformed? Now I was using these Hornady. Basically, this ball is designed for black powder guns. Normally, when I'm shooting, what I use is I use buckshot. I get 38 buck, which is basically cheaper. Like you buy one of these, you pay $15, and it's got like in the 36 caliber, I think you get something like 600, 636 caliber balls. So it's a much cheaper way to shoot. And what happens is the buck, the 36 buck, is a lot harder. So it'll deform less, but you'll get better penetrating power if that's what you're looking for. But with the soft lead, you can see how it's deforming. When it's hitting that steel, it's flattening out. The one I had over here, I lost it. That was almost like really flat. But here's the thing. This is the Uberti 1862 Colt Police. And basically, if you're not holding the gun up when you cock it, it is a jam factory. Okay. And there you go. Right now, there's a cap in there that won't even let this come out. That won't even let this rotate. So the last one I fired jammed the shit out of the gun. That it won't even cock back. So now I gotta basically open this up, pull this out, and let's see where that cap is. Let's jam this gun up. There it is. So there's the cap that was sitting there, and it was just stuck so bad that it wouldn't even let this. So now here's the thing. Yeah, that was pretty tight. Here's the thing: when you buy this gun, right? The caps are actually gonna suck because we call it cap sucking. Even if you're cocking it back like I was doing, it's gonna still jam the gun up because there's a little notch over here, right? And that's meant so that you can rest your hammer between the nipples between the nipples on one of these studs over here, right? So if you want to rest it there, that little stud holds it in place. So they cut out this little notch to sit on that stud. But what happens is that it's such a fine cut in the hammer with a sharp edge that it tends to bite the cap and suck it out. and suck it out so bad that it won't even fall out if you hold the gun up. Okay, so what you gotta do is you gotta basically take a file or a Dremel and just not, I'm not talking about the rear sight. Don't Dremel out the rear sight. That on a little bit lower on the hammer, that the part that sits on the stud, you gotta Dremel that out a little bit or file it out so that it's not so sharp and it won't suck the caps out. Okay, so that's the first thing you gotta do if you buy this gun. You can see the filing over there, how dirty this gun. I mean, I think I've shot this is maybe I think the 3rd or 4th cylinder I've shot so far today with this. The other thing that I have found with this Uberti is that the wedge is really loose. This wedge over here is a little too loose. Initially I thought maybe I just had a bad copy. So what happened is between the caps getting stuck, because I at the time when I first got the gun, I did not know that I needed to file out that little that little notch over there, so it wouldn't suck them out. So between the caps getting stuck every round, right? Even if I was lifting it up, the caps would still get stuck in there. Between that and the wedge being coming so loose, I thought I just had a bad copy. So what I did is I sent the gun back to Cabela's. I said, give me another one. And what they sent me was pretty much the same exact thing. I saw that the wedge was very loose, and I saw that the caps were being sucked out. So first of all, I decided I was going to keep the gun because I just really like it conceptually. Just the size, the weight, the look of it. I just loved it. Okay, I love this 1862 Colt Police. And then over time I did a little bit more research, and somebody gave me the tip of filing out that notch over there so it wouldn't suck the caps out. And ever since then, the gun's been working pretty good. As long as you religiously hold the gun up and cock it and watch the caps fall out. Okay, because sometimes they won't fall out. Sometimes they'll sit right there on the hammer. And then basically if you just do this, right, if you don't see the cap fall out and you do this, then it's going to basically fall into your action. And then it'll get squeezed in between your hammer and the back of whatever this thing is called over here, not the frame, the back of the frame, and basically it's when the cap gets stuck in there, the hammer doesn't travel forward far enough to hit the cap and strike it against the nipple, and you get a jam. And what happens a lot of times is after you've been shooting. Like right now, see, you can see that black powder in there. You may not actually be able to see the cap because the cap is covered with the black powder residue. So you don't know that you have a cap stuck in there, and you're just like, why won't this gun work anymore? But that's the reason. You've got a cap that's stuck in there, and that's why I keep like a piece of metal over here that I can basically just clean out that cap if it gets stuck in there really bad. Earlier when I was shooting this, I was getting some really bad jams because I forgot that I was supposed to like really hold the gun up. Usually with the other with the Remington 1858, I just go like this and it just pops right out. So I can do it kind of quickly and almost sloppily. With this one, you have to hold it up, do this, watch the cap fall out. And that's how you know that the cap's not there and the gun's not going to jam. But I love this gun conceptually. It weighs 1 pound 9 ounces. It's a perfect carry weight. Perfect weight for a carry gun. It's light enough so that you can carry this and not feel like carrying a heavy piece of metal. It's just that I think that Uberti just needs to work on a couple of things, like making sure that the wedge is a little bit tighter, so it doesn't, it's not so loose. And the other thing is that they have to, from the factory, they need to machine that little safety notch so it doesn't suck the caps out every time that you shoot this. Because a lot of people are not going to know or going to do the research or watch this video to know that you have to file that out a little bit. And this is a pretty expensive, gun. I mean, this is, because it's a Uberti, it's $300. The Piettas, for example, like this 1858 over here, this, if you buy this around Christmas time when they're running the specials, this was $185, okay, when I bought this. Like now, if you buy it, I think it's like $220 or something. But if you buy it around Christmas time, it's $180. The 44 Colts Like now, I think they're about $200, but if you buy them around Christmas time, they're $120. That's why I got a whole collection of those. I got a whole bunch of those Colt 44s because they're so cheap. But you know, this one over here, you're paying $300. You know, for I want a wedge that's properly fitted. So they're my thoughts, feedback on this. I think conceptually this is a great gun. I don't recommend this as your first gun. First gun, yeah, definitely get the 1858 Colt, 1858 Remington. Get the 44 Colt or the 36 Colt. The 44 Colt is probably going to give you more bang for your buck. My whole thing is if you're going to go to 36, there has to be significant weight savings. So with the Paeta Colts, when you go to 36, you're really not saving that much weight. So there's no significant advantage. It's not until you get to something about this size that there is a weight advantage to having a 36 caliber. If you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.